Should I become a SOC analyst or go into GRC? What's the difference between penetration testing and vulnerability management? Is cloud security different from network security? Do I need to code for AppSec? What does a threat modeler actually do? What about DLP or XDR roles? Well, I get these questions every single week, and here's why everyone is confused. In this video, I'm going to break down every major cybersecurity career path from first principles. First, I'll explain the foundational security concepts every single role is built upon, which is the CIA triad: defense in depth, zero trust architecture, least privilege access control, and cryptographic protection. Then I'll map the three primary career tracks, which are technical operations, risk and governance, and secure development, and precisely which roles align with each track. And by the end of this video, you'll understand which path aligns with your technical aptitude, what each role's core responsibilities actually entail, and which specialization to pursue based on your current skill set. Cybersecurity field has expanded into at least 10 distinct career specializations, each requiring fundamentally different technical competencies, analytical approaches, and operational responsibilities. A SOC analyst's daily workflow bears no resemblance to a risk management specialist's responsibility. A penetration tester's technical skill set is completely orthogonal to an identity and access management specialist's expertise, and nobody explains this systematically. Well, I'm Shashi. I have spent 17 years in cybersecurity across 4 countries, and I'm currently a principal cybersecurity architect living in Germany, where I design cybersecurity strategies for large companies. And my career path? Well, I started in technical support in 2008, moved to Active Directory administration, specialized in identity and access management, then transitioned through incident response and risk management and security operations, what we call SOC. Now I architect security programs at strategic level. I'm telling you this because I've worked across most of the track we are going to discuss today, and I can tell you exactly what each role actually requires. But first, let me show you the framework that determines all of these roles. Let's go. Before you can choose a specialization, you need to understand the foundational framework that all cybersecurity work is built upon, the CIA triad, which I call the foundation. Every single thing we do in cybersecurity, whether you're a SOC analyst, a GRC specialist, or a penetration tester, exists to protect 3 fundamental properties of information systems. And this is called the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality ensures unauthorized entities cannot access protected data. When threat actors exfiltrate credentials or sensitive information through a data breach, confidentiality is compromised. And integrity ensures data cannot be altered without authorization. When attackers modify database records, ingest malicious code, or tamper with logs to cover their tracks, integrity is violated. And availability ensures legitimate users can access systems when required. When ransomware encrypts production systems or DDoS attacks overwhelm infrastructure, availability is compromised. Every security incident violates at least one of these 3 properties. Every security controls is designed to protect at least one of them. Every role we'll discuss today either implements, monitors, or ensures compliance with controls that protect the CIA triad. Now, how do we actually protect confidentiality, integrity, and availability? Through 4 core implementation principles that you'll see across every cybersecurity role. There are more, but these are the most important. Principle 1, which I call defense in depth. We don't rely on a single security control. So, we implement layered security mechanism so that if one fails, others still protect CIA. This means deploying multiple independent controls. For example, perimeter firewalls, which protects availability and confidentiality, network segmentation, which protects confidentiality, and endpoint detection and response, protecting integrity and availability, application layer controls, data encryption and access management, and so more. According to Verizon's 2024 Data Breach Investigations report, 83% of successful breaches occurred because organizations relied on a single security control rather than layered defenses. Let's talk about those principles. Let's start with zero trust architecture. Traditional security assumes if you're inside the network, you are trusted. This failed to protect confidentiality and integrity because once attackers gain initial access, they can exploit this. So zero trust operates on never trust, always verify principle. Every access request requires authentication, authorization, and continuous validation of security posture regardless of network location. And this protects all three CIA properties by continuously verifying the legitimacy of the access. According to Forrester's 2024 Zero Trust Adoption Study, organizations implementing zero trust principles reduced breach impact by an average of 50%. Principle 3, which is least privilege access control. Grant users, services, and applications only the minimum permissions required to perform their legitimate functions. And this principle primarily protects confidentiality and integrity by limiting what an attacker can access or modify if credentials are compromised. For example, if a marketing employee's account is compromised, least privilege ensures that the attacker can't access financial database or modify system configurations. This limits the blast radius of any security incident. Principle 4 is cryptographic protection. Encryption renders data unintelligible without the corresponding decryption key. This is a technical control that specifically protects confidentiality. Even when storage media is stolen or network traffic is intercepted, encrypted data remains protected. Modern implementations include encryption at rest, which is protecting stored data, and encryption in transit, which is protecting data moving across networks. Encryption also protects integrity through cryptographic hashing and digital signatures, which allow detection of unauthorized modification. Here's the relationship between these four principles and the CIA triad. Think of it this way. CIA triad is what we protect, and defense in depth, zero trust, least privilege, and encryption are how we protect. Every cybersecurity specialization either implements these principles through technical controls like SOC Analyst, Cloud Security Engineer, or IAM Specialist roles, test these principles to find weaknesses like penetration tester or red teaming, either design these principles into systems like a security architect or a threat modeler, validates whether these principles are properly applied like GRC Analyst or risk management, and responds when these principles fail, which is incident response. Now let's examine the career paths built on these frameworks. Here's the framework nobody articulates clearly. Cybersecurity isn't one discipline, it's three distinct professional tracks based on technical depth and operational focus. Track 1, which I call the technical security operations. If your strength include system level thinking, technical troubleshooting, pattern recognition, and hands-on infrastructure work, here are the below 7 career paths you can choose. Career path 1, which is Security Operations Center or SOC Analyst. In this role, the core responsibilities include threat detection, incident triage, security event analysis, and incident response coordination. The operational reality is you are analyzing the security telemetry from SIEM platforms like Splunk, Microsoft Sentinel, or Chronicle, and when correlation rules detect anomalous behavior, such as authentication attempts from geographically impossible locations or unusual lateral movement patterns, you investigate. You examine logs, network traffic captures, and endpoint forensics to determine if the activity represents a true positive threat or a false positive alert. The technical application here is you are applying CIA triad analysis, which means which property is threatened, and leveraging defense in depth, which means which layer detected this anomaly, and validating zero trust principle, which means was access properly authenticated or not. What are the required competencies in this role? Well, there are many, like log analysis, network protocol understanding like TCP/IP, DNS, HTTP, basic scripting like Python or PowerShell also helps. Also familiarity with MITRE ATT&CK framework, etc. Compensations include $65,000 to $85,000 salary for entry level and $90,000 to $120,000 for 3 to 5 years of experience as per the salary.com data 2025. One thing important to note here is you will see job postings for MDR analyst or XDR analyst. These aren't separate career paths. They are variations of SOC analysis. MDR, which is Managed Detection and Response, is a service delivery model where SOC operations are provided by third-party security providers. As an MDR analyst, you perform the same functions as a SOC analyst, but for multiple client organizations simultaneously. The core competencies are identical. The difference is you're working for a security service provider instead of an internal SOC. And XDR, which is Extended Detection and Response, refers to unified security platforms that correlate telemetry across endpoints, networks, cloud environments, and applications into a single console. There are platforms like Microsoft Defender XDR, Palo Alto Cortex XDR, or Sentinel-1 Singularity. Analysts use these integrated platforms instead of traditional SIEM-only approaches. The analysis skills remains the same. The platform provides more integrated visibility. Both use the same fundamental SOC analyst competencies. Career Path 2: Incident Response Specialist. The core responsibilities in incident response is security breach investigation, malware analysis, digital forensics, containment strategy execution, and post-incident reporting. Operational reality is like when a security incident is confirmed, like say for example a ransomware deployment, data exfiltration, insider threat, you lead the technical response here. You perform the forensic analysis on compromised systems. You collect evidence following chain of custody procedures. You identify persistence mechanisms, determine the scope of compromise, coordinate containment actions, and document lessons learned. You work with tools like say volatility for memory forensics, FTK Imager for disk acquisition, and EDR platforms like CrowdStrike or maybe Sentinel-1. And technical application here is like you are restoring CIA triad properties after compromise, identifying where defendant depth failed, and implementing improved controls here. Required competencies include digital forensics, malware analysis, understanding of attacker techniques, which is MITRE ATT&CK framework, scripting for automations, Windows and Linux system intervals, network forensics, etc. Compensation typically include 80,000 to 100,000 for entry level and 100,000 to 150,000 with 3 to 5 years of experience as per the pay scale 2025 data. Career Path 3: Penetration Tester or Red Team Operator. Core responsibilities include offensive security testing, vulnerability exploitation, attack simulation, and security control validation. The operational reality here is you're conducting authorized attacks against systems to identify exploitable weaknesses before malicious actors do. So basically you are the ethical hacker here. You exploit misconfigurations, leverage known vulnerabilities, also called CVEs, conduct social engineering assessments, and document remediation recommendations. Tools include Metasploit framework, Burp Suite Professional, Cobalt Strike, and custom exploit code. Technical application in CIA triad includes here like you are testing defense in depth effectiveness, which layers can be bypassed, validating least privilege implementation, asking can privileges be escalated, and identifying access control failures. The required competencies to excel in this skill is deep understanding of operating systems, both Windows and Linux internals, networking protocols, web application architectures, scripting, programming like Python, PowerShell, Bash, vulnerability research, and the OWASP top 10. Compensations include $85,000 to $110,000 and $120,000 till $180,000 for 5+ years of experience as per pay scale 2025 data. Career Path 4: Security Architect or Threat Modeling Specialist. Core responsibilities in this role include security architecture design, threat modeling, security requirements definition, technology evaluation, and strategic security planning. The operational reality is you design security into systems before they are built. You conduct threat modeling exercises using frameworks like STRIDE, which is spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure and denial of service, and elevation of privilege, which stands for, or PASTA, not the one you eat, but process for attack simulation and threat analysis. These are the frameworks for threat modeling. You create data flow diagrams, identify threat actors and threat vectors and attack vectors, define security controls, and provide architectural guidances to development and infrastructure teams. You evaluate technologies for security capabilities and design zero trust architectures. The technical applications here is you are applying all 4 principles at design phase, ensuring CIA triad protection, architecting defense in depth, implementing zero trust models, enforcing least privilege through design, and specifying encryption requirements. Required competencies in this role includes broad technical knowledge across infrastructure, application, and cloud platforms. Also, threat modeling methodologies, security frameworks like NIST or ISO 27001, architectural design patterns, risk assessments, stakeholder communication. This is more aimed for people with already experience. Compensation typically includes $150,000 and more than $200,000 with 5 to 10 years of experience as per Glassdoor's 2025 data. And this role typically requires like 5 to 10 years of prior technical security experience for obvious reasons. It's not an entry-level position but represents career progression from SOC, incident response, or even penetration testing roles. Career path 5. Cloud Security Engineer. The core responsibilities of a cloud security engineer is cloud infrastructure security, identity and access management configuration, security monitoring in cloud environments, and compliance validation. The operational reality is you are securing the cloud infrastructure across AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud platforms. And this includes configuring IAM policies. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management, implementing network segmentation with security groups and access control lists, securing object storage like preventing misconfigured S3 buckets like, the 2019 Capital One breach where 106 million records were exposed, and monitoring cloud native security services like AWS GuardDuty or Azure Defender. The technical application for CIA here is least privilege via granular IAM policies, zero trust through identity-based access control, encryption for data protection like KMS, which is key management services, and envelope encryption. Required competencies for this role is cloud platform expertise like any cloud like AWS, Azure, GCP, and infrastructure as a code is beneficial like Terraforms or cloud formations. Understanding of cloud native security services and IAM policy design along with container security would be beneficial here. Typical compensation ranges from $90,000 to $120,000 for people with less experience and $130,000 to $170,000 with experience more than 5 years as per the Glassdoor data. Career Path 6. Identity and Access Management Specialist. Core responsibilities include identity lifecycle management, access control architecture, authentication mechanism implementation, and privilege access management. The operational reality is you are implementing zero trust architecture through identity-centric controls here. This includes configuring identity providers like Okta, Azure, Entra ID, etc., implementing single sign-on with SAML or OIDC protocols, enforcing multi-factor authentication, managing privilege access management like PAM solutions like CyberArk, Beyond Trust, etc., and automating user provisioning and deprovisioning workflows. Technical application here is zero trust, identity as the control plane, least privilege, which is role-based access control modeling, defense in depth, which is MFA, conditional access policies, etc. Required competencies in this role is understanding of authentication protocols like SAML, OAuth, OIDC, Kerberos, etc. Good knowledge of directory services, Active Directory, LDAP, identity governance, and access certification processes. Compensation typically includes $75,000 to $95,000 for entry level and $110,000 to $140,000 with experience as per the pay scale data. Career Path 7 is Data Loss Prevention or Information Protection Specialist. Core responsibilities in this role include implement and manage data loss prevention controls, configure content inspection policies, monitor data exfiltration attempts, and ensure sensitive data classification and handling. Operational reality here is like you deploy and manage DLP solutions like Microsoft Purview, Symantec DLP, or Forcepoint DLP that monitors data in motion like email, web traffic, etc., data at rest like file servers, databases, and data in use like endpoint activities. In this role, you create policies that identify sensitive data patterns. For example, credit card numbers or personally identified information or intellectual property using regular expressions and machine learning classifiers. You investigate data loss protection policy violations to determine if they represent legitimate business needs or actual data leakage attempts. You work closely with compliance teams to ensure data handling meets regulatory requirements like GDPR, HIPAA or PCI DSS. Technical applications with respect to CIA triad is it protects confidentiality, which is preventing unauthorized data disclosure. Also implementing least privilege like restricting data access based on classification. And it supports defense in depth like data protection layer, ensuring compliance and data protection regulations. Required competencies include understanding of data classification schemes, regular expressions for pattern matching, knowledge of network protocols like SMTP, HTTP and so many others, integration with cloud services like Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, policy tuning to reduce false positives, and understanding of compliance requirements. Compensation typically includes $70,000 to $90,000 for entry level and $95,000 to $130,000 with experience of more than 5+ years as per the pay scale data. DLP often overlaps with GRC, which is compliance focus, and IAM, which is access control focus. Many organizations include DLP responsibilities within broader security engineering or governance roles rather than dedicated DLP positions. In large enterprises, DLP may be a dedicated specialization, but in smaller organizations, it's typically a part of security engineers' responsibilities. Well, let's move to track 2. Governance, risk and compliance. If your strengths include risk management, framework implementation, stakeholder communication, documentation, strategic thinking and business analysis, this is the path for you. There are 2 career paths you can choose here. Career path 1, GRC Analyst. Core responsibilities in this role includes security framework implementations, compliance evidence collections, audit coordinations, security policy development and control mapping. Operational reality here is you are ensuring organizational adherence to security frameworks like NIST Cybersecurity Framework, ISO 27001, SOC 2 or PCI DSS and many more. You gather and document evidence of security control implementation. You coordinate with auditors during compliance assessments. You map technical security measures to compliance requirements and translate them into language that executives and board members understand. Technical application with respect to CIA here is this validates all the principles we talked about, which are implemented through policy and processes. But from an oversight and governance perspective, rather than hands-on technical implementation. Required competencies in this role is understanding of compliance frameworks, security control mapping, documentation skills, audit coordination, stakeholder management and project coordinations, to say a few. And compensation typically includes $70,000 to $90,000 for entry-level roles and $100,000 to $130,000+ with experience as per salary.com's 2025 data. Career path 2 in this governance path is risk management specialist. Core responsibilities of a risk management specialist is enterprise risk assessments, threat intelligence analysis, risk quantification, risk treatment strategy, and risk reporting to executive leadership. The operational reality here is you identify, analyze, and quantify cybersecurity risks across the organization. You conduct quantitative risk assessments using methodologies like FAIR, which is factor analysis of information risk, to express risk in financial terms, calculating annual loss expectancy and risk exposure. You analyze threat intelligence to understand relevant threat actors and attack scenarios targeting your industry. You work with business units to assess risk tolerance and determine appropriate risk treatment strategies, like whether to accept the risk, mitigate it, transfer, or avoid the risk at all. You report risk metrics to CISOs, CROs, and board risk committees. The technical application with respect to CIA triad is you evaluate risk to the principles across the enterprise, assess whether the defense in depth is adequate, and determine if controls effectively reduce risk to acceptable levels. Required competencies for this role is risk assessment methodologies like NIST Risk Management Framework, ISO 27005, and FAIR, which we talked about. FAIR, along with that, threat intelligence analysis, quantitative analysis, business impact analysis, and greater communication skills and understanding of business operations along with compliance requirements. Compensation typically includes $85,000 to $120 for entry level with some security experience and more than $160,000 with 5+ years as per the pay scale 2025 data. Mind that this role typically requires understanding of both technical security and business operations. It's often a progression from GRC analyst or technical roles. Finally, track 3, which is secure development. If your strength include software development, code analysis, understanding application logic, and building security into the systems, then this path is for you. Career path 10. Application Security Engineers, or we call AppSec. Core responsibilities of an application security engineer include secure code reviews, vulnerability assessment of applications, security testing automation, developer education, and secure software development lifecycle implementation. The operational reality here is development teams create applications, and you integrate security into the software development lifecycle. You conduct static application security testing using tools like checkmarks or DECODED, dynamic application security testing with tools like OWASP, ZAP, or Burp Suite, and software composition analysis to identify vulnerable dependencies. You also identify vulnerabilities like SQL injection or cross-site scripting or insecure deserialization or authentication bypass flaws in the system, and you provide remediation guidance to developers and verify fixes. The technical application to CIA triad is preventing data exposure through code vulnerabilities here. It also covers the defense in depth, which is input validation, output encoding, security headers. It also covers least privilege like application level access control, etc. Required competencies to get into AppSec is definitely programming proficiency, like any programming language like Python, Java, JavaScript, C#, and understanding of OWASP top 10 and SANS top 25, along with experience with application security testing tools. Also, the knowledge of secure coding practices and API security helps here. Compensation typically include $90,000 to $100,000 for entry level and $130,000 to $180,000 more with experience. According to DECODED's 2024 State of Software Security report, 76% of applications contain at least one security flaw, and the industry faces a significant shortage of security professionals who understand both development and security. Here's the decision framework I use when advising people on career specialization. You can pause the video at this point to take a note, or maybe screenshot this part so that you can review later. I want to tell you something on information security versus cybersecurity. You will see job titles with information security or InfoSec instead of cybersecurity. These terms are largely interchangeable in modern usage. Historically, information security was broader, covering physical security and documentation handling, security awareness, etc., while cybersecurity focused specifically on digital threats. But today, most information security analysts or information security engineer roles are functionally identical to their cybersecurity equivalents. The title choice usually reflects organizational preference or legacy naming conventions, and not meaningfully different responsibilities. However, some organizations use information security for more policy-oriented or awareness-focused roles, like closer to GRC tracks, and cybersecurity for technical operation roles. When evaluating job descriptions, focus on the actual responsibilities listed and not on the title prefix. Let me share my career trajectory as an example. I started in technical support, then transitioned into Active Directory administration, and then specialized in identity and access management. From there, I moved into incident response, which gave me deep understanding of how attacks actually happen. Then I transitioned to risk management, which taught me business context and quantitative analysis. Then I spent time in SOC operations to understand detection and monitoring. And now, as a principal architect, I use all of that experience to design enterprise security strategies and conduct threat modeling. So why I am telling you this is, your path doesn't have to be linear. Each role builds different competencies that can combine in powerful ways. These are the fastest paths to each specialization. You can pause the video or take a screenshot for your later review. Specializations are not permanent. I have moved through 6 different security specializations in my career. So begin with the path that leverages your current technical foundation, and then specialize as your interests evolve and you gain experience. Phew! I have just covered 10 career specializations, 5 foundational principles, and 3 professional tracks. It's a substantial amount of information. So here's what I have created to provide clarity. I have created the Cybersecurity Career Path Decision Matrix. It's a comprehensive resource that includes the below along with my personal insights from working across multiple specializations. If you want it, you can download it from the below link. It's free. There's no upselling here. And if this video helped clarify the cybersecurity career landscape, like and subscribe to this channel. I published content breaking down careers, emerging threats on cybersecurity and AI, and the actual technical competencies required to succeed in this field. You can also follow me on other social media and Substack newsletter if you don't want to miss on the latest cybersecurity updates on career, technology, and startups security. Links down below. In the next video, I'm covering why you are not getting cybersecurity interviews in spite of having technical skills and experience in some cases. So stay tuned. Choose your career based on your technical strengths and intellectual interests, not on what sounds prestigious. The field needs professionals across all the 3 tracks. Identify yours.